Generative AI, the data augmentation revolution. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into the world of AI. But not just any AI. We're talking about generative AI and how it's completely changing the game when it comes to data augmentation. You know, that crucial process of making AI smarter by feeding it more data. Now, data augmentation itself isn't new. We've been flipping images, cropping them, adjusting colors, you name it. But generative AI? This is like taking data augmentation to a whole new level. We're talking about creating entirely new data points, things that never existed before, and using them to train AI models in ways we never thought possible. From generating images that trick even the human eye, to creating entire datasets from scratch, we're about to explore how this tech is pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's get right into it. Image augmentation, GANs to the rescue. First up, let's talk about images. Now, image data is everywhere, right? It's what powers everything from facial recognition to self-driving cars. But training these AI models requires massive amounts of data, and that's where Generative Adversarial Networks, or GANs, come in. Imagine two neural networks, kind of like two AI artists, locked in a creative battle. One network, the generator, tries to create realistic images from scratch, while the other, the discriminator, tries to tell the real images from the fake ones. It's like a constant back and forth, with the generator getting better and better at creating realistic images over time. And the results? They're mind-blowing. We're talking about AI generating high-resolution images of everything from faces and landscapes to objects and even artwork. This is huge for fields like autonomous driving, where you need to train cars to recognize objects in all sorts of conditions. Instead of having to drive millions of miles to collect real-world data, you can use GANs to generate endless variations of road scenes, weather conditions, and even pedestrian behavior. And it's not just about quantity, it's about diversity too. GANs can create images that represent a wider range of possibilities than what you might find in a real-world dataset. This is especially important in medical imaging, where rare diseases or conditions might not be well represented in existing data. By augmenting these datasets with synthetic images, we can train AI models to be more accurate and reliable, potentially leading to earlier diagnoses and better patient outcomes. And that's just scratching the surface of what GANs can do for image augmentation. Text augmentation beyond synonyms. Next up, let's talk about text data, which is just as important as images in the world of AI. Think about it, natural language processing, chatbots, machine translation, they all rely on massive datasets of text. But just like with images, getting enough diverse text data can be a real challenge. That's where generative AI comes in, with some seriously impressive tricks. We're not just talking about simple synonym swapping here. We're talking about AI that can understand the context and meaning of sentences, and then generate entirely new sentences that convey the same information in different ways. Imagine you're training a sentiment analysis model to understand customer reviews. Instead of relying on a limited set of reviews, you can use generative AI to create countless variations of those reviews, each with slightly different wording but the same overall sentiment. This helps the model learn to generalize better and understand the nuances of human language. It's like giving your AI a crash course in creative writing, and the applications go way beyond sentiment analysis. Think about machine translation, where different languages have different grammatical structures and idioms. Generative AI can help bridge that gap by generating translations that sound more natural and fluent. It's like having an AI language tutor that can help your models become truly multilingual. And let's not forget about chatbots. We all know how frustrating it can be to interact with a chatbot that gives canned responses. Generative AI can help create more dynamic and engaging chatbot interactions by generating more human-like and contextually relevant responses. Speech and audio augmentation, sounding off. Now let's turn up the volume on speech and audio data. This is a critical area for AI, powering everything from virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa to speech-to-text software and even music generation. But just like with images and text, getting enough high-quality audio data can be a real challenge, especially when you consider all the different accents, dialects, and background noises that exist in the real world. That's where generative AI steps in to amplify the possibilities. We're talking about AI that can synthesize human-like speech, complete with realistic intonation and emotion. This is huge for training speech recognition systems to be more accurate and robust, especially in noisy environments. Imagine a virtual assistant that can understand you perfectly, even in a crowded room or on a busy street. That's the power of generative AI in speech augmentation. And it's not just about speech itself, it's about the entire soundscape. Generative AI can create realistic sound effects, background noise, and even entire musical compositions. This is a game changer for applications like audio editing, where you might need to remove unwanted noise or add in missing sound effects. It's like having a virtual sound engineer at your fingertips. And let's not forget about the creative potential. Generative AI can help musicians create new sounds and explore uncharted sonic territories. We're already seeing AI-generated music popping up everywhere, from experimental electronic music to classical compositions. And as the technology continues to evolve, who knows what kind of sonic masterpieces we'll be able to create? Chapter 4, Tabular Data Augmentation, Protecting Privacy, Unlocking Insights. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about tabular data. You know, those rows and columns of numbers and categories that you might find in spreadsheets or databases. This type of data is the backbone of many industries, from finance and healthcare to marketing and customer relationship management. But tabular data often contains sensitive information like personal details, financial records, or medical histories. That's where generative AI comes in with a solution that's both powerful and privacy conscious. Instead of directly using real data, which could pose a risk of exposure, we can use generative AI to create synthetic datasets that mirror the statistical properties of the original data without containing any actual sensitive information. Think of it like creating a statistically identical twin of your dataset, but without any of the personal details that could put individuals at risk. This is huge for fields like healthcare, where researchers are constantly looking for ways to analyze patient data without compromising privacy. With generative AI, they can create synthetic datasets that allow them to study disease patterns, test new treatments, and develop predictive models, all while ensuring that patient data remains protected. And it's not just about healthcare. Financial institutions can use generative AI to create synthetic datasets for fraud detection, risk analysis, and even algorithmic trading. By training their models on these synthetic datasets, they can improve the accuracy and effectiveness of their systems without putting sensitive financial information at risk. So generative AI is not just about creating cool images or music, it's also about making data analysis safer, more ethical, and more accessible. Chapter 5, Video Augmentation, Action. All right, let's get visual and talk about video data. Now, video is like the ultimate data type, right? It combines images, audio, and often text into a dynamic, information-rich stream. And it's everywhere, from social media and entertainment to security systems and self-driving cars. But training AI models on video data, that's a whole other level of complexity. It's like processing thousands of images every minute, along with the corresponding audio and any text that might be present. That's where generative AI steps in, ready for its close-up. We're talking about AI that can generate entirely new video sequences, complete with moving objects, changing backgrounds, and even realistic lighting and shadows. This is huge for training AI models for tasks like action recognition, video classification, and object tracking. Imagine a security system that can not only detect suspicious activity but also predict what might happen next based on its training on synthetic video data. Or think about self-driving cars that can navigate complex environments more safely because they've been trained on countless variations of simulated driving scenarios. And it's not just about quantity, it's about diversity and control. Generative AI allows us to create video data that represents a wider range of scenarios than we might find in the real world. We can control the lighting, the weather, the number of objects, and even the physics of the environment. This level of control is invaluable for training robust and reliable AI models that can handle the unpredictability of the real world. So whether it's improving security systems, advancing self-driving technology, or creating more immersive virtual experiences, generative AI is set to revolutionize the way we work with video data. Title: 3D Data Augmentation, Adding a New Dimension. Now let's step into the third dimension with 3D data augmentation. This is where things get really interesting because we're talking about training AI models to understand and interact with the world in a way that's closer to how humans do it. 3D data is everywhere, from the objects we use every day to the buildings we live in and the environments we navigate, and it's becoming increasingly important in fields like robotics, augmented reality, and virtual reality. But training AI models on 3D data presents unique challenges. It's not just about processing images, it's about understanding spatial relationships, depth, and how objects move and interact in a 3D space. Generative AI comes to the rescue by creating synthetic 3D models that can be used to train these models. Imagine being able to generate endless variations of 3D objects, each with slightly different shapes, sizes, and textures. This is invaluable for training robots to grasp objects more effectively, for developing augmented reality applications that can seamlessly integrate virtual objects into the real world, and for creating more realistic and immersive virtual environments. And it's not just about the objects themselves, it's about the entire 3D environment. Generative AI can create synthetic 3D scenes, complete with realistic lighting, shadows, and even physics-based simulations. This allows us to train AI models in virtual worlds that are almost indistinguishable from the real thing, giving them a head start when it comes to navigating and interacting with the 3D world around us. Chapter 7, Time Series Data Augmentation, Predicting the Future, one data point at a time. Let's talk about time series data that's collected over time, like stock prices, weather patterns, or even your heart rate. This type of data is everywhere, and it's what allows us to understand trends, make predictions, and optimize systems over time. But training AI models on time series data can be tricky. It's not just about understanding the individual data points. It's about understanding the patterns and dependencies that unfold over time. And that's where generative AI steps in to give our AI models a better grasp of the fourth dimension. Instead of relying solely on historical data, which might be limited or incomplete, we can use generative AI to create synthetic time series data that captures the underlying patterns and dynamics of the real data. Imagine being able to generate synthetic stock market data that mimics the volatility and trends of the real market, allowing you to test trading algorithms and risk management strategies with more confidence. Or think about being able to generate synthetic weather data that takes into account historical patterns, seasonal variations, and even the impact of climate change, leading to more accurate and reliable weather forecasts. And it's not just about predicting the future, it's about understanding the past. Generative AI can help us fill in missing data points in historical time series, allowing us to gain a more complete understanding of past trends and events. So whether it's predicting stock prices, forecasting the weather, or even monitoring patient health, generative AI is set to become an indispensable tool for anyone working with time series data. Chapter 8, Anonymized Data Generation, Protecting Privacy, Powering Innovation. Now, let's revisit the crucial topic of privacy in the age of AI. As we collect and analyze more data than ever before, protecting sensitive information is paramount, and that's where generative AI offers a powerful solution: anonymized data generation. Imagine a world where we can harness the power of data analysis without ever putting sensitive information at risk. That's the promise of anonymized data generation. Instead of using real data, which could contain personally identifiable information, we can use generative AI to create synthetic datasets that preserve the statistical properties of the original data without containing any actual sensitive details. This is a game changer for industries like healthcare, finance, and education, where data privacy is paramount. Researchers can use anonymized data to to study disease patterns, develop new treatments, and improve patient care without ever accessing real patient records. Financial institutions can use it to detect fraud, manage risk, and develop new financial products without compromising the privacy of their customers. And educators can use it to personalize learning experiences and improve educational outcomes without putting student data at risk. Anonymized data generation allows us to unlock the full potential of data analysis while upholding the highest ethical and privacy standards. It's a win-win for innovation and data protection. Chapter 9, Domain Transfer, Bridging the Gap Between Datasets. Finally, let's talk about one of the most fascinating applications of generative AI, domain transfer. Imagine being able to take the style of one dataset and apply it to another, effectively bridging the gap between different domains. This is like teaching AI to be a master of adaptation, taking what it learns in one context and applying it to another. For example, imagine you're training a self-driving car, but you only have data from daytime driving. With domain transfer, you can use generative AI to transform that daytime data into nighttime data, complete with realistic lighting, shadows, and reflections. This allows you to train your car on a wider range of conditions, making it safer and more reliable. Or think about medical imaging. You might have a lot of data for one type of medical scanner, but not enough for another. With domain transfer, you can use generative AI to translate images from one scanner to another, effectively expanding your dataset and improving the accuracy of your AI models. Domain transfer opens up a world of possibilities for data augmentation, allowing us to break down the barriers between different datasets and train AI models that are more adaptable, robust, and versatile. The future of data augmentation is generative. So there you have it, a glimpse into the exciting world of generative AI and its transformative impact on data augmentation. From creating synthetic images and text to generating entire three-dimensional worlds and anonymizing sensitive data, generative AI is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. And this is just the beginning. As generative AI continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more creative and powerful applications emerge, revolutionizing industries from healthcare and finance to transportation and entertainment. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world of AI and machine learning. Leave a comment below on how you think generative AI will shape the future of data science.